Hi, I'm David.
And Madeleine, and we are Porthos Games.
We've launched The Big Lockdown, our new card game on Kickstarter. Lots of people have asked us all sorts of questions about Madeleine and I, about how we made the game.
We've put the commonest questions together and we'll be drawing them out of this bowl to try and get you some of the answers.
How did you come up with the idea for the game?
The idea came to us around April or May time when we were already quite far into the lockdown. We'd probably watched more or less everything that we wanted to see on Netflix. And I think we'd come to a point where we had to just get a little bit more creative.
Yeah, we needed something creative because I wasn't really working at the time anymore and I needed something to stimulate my mind in some way. Why call the company Porphos Games?
So we have got 3 rainbow fish, Athos, Porthos and Aramis. We named the company after Porthos, who was the fun musketeer.
Can you name that other fish?
Yes.
Go on then.
Athos, Porthos and Aramis, the Cardinal's Guard, John Wick the Assassin Snail, Mickey and Minnie, Marco and Polo, Midas. I think that's it.
You missed Lurch.
Oh, Lurch.
Lurch.
How did you develop the game?
So the original idea was just that we wanted to make some kind of game themed around lockdown. I mean, our first idea was to create a board game with an actual board, and we had this idea that we would include social distancing in the game, so every player had to be at least 2 squares away from another player. But we couldn't really work out how to make the rest of that game function. We ended up coming up with the idea of a card game, and it went from 1 deck, then we had that eureka moment where we would have different decks, and the risk that players took would change depending on the deck they drew from. But do you remember our original prototypes?
I do, yeah. Because we'd started off, because we wanted to play around with it a lot, we'd cut out these really miniature little cards where we'd written in tiny what you were supposed to do with them.
But they were really small, you had to hold your hand like that.
But it was because we kept on chopping and changing things, and it was to allow us to sort of just generate more as we went along. What is your favourite card in the game? I
really like Personal Space, just because it's a really funny picture, and it reminds me of all of those news stories you saw of people who were on a work Zoom call and had taken their laptop or phone to the toilet with them and had forgotten that the webcam was still on.
I like the self-isolation card with the man in the hazmat suit trying to sip a cup of tea. Just because obviously he's in a hazmat suit, so how could he sip the tea?
How did you meet?
So we met at the University of Birmingham at a social student event.
And quite cheesily, I'd seen Maddie at the other side of a table, and there was an empty seat next to her, and I could see that people were sort of moving their way around and going to fill that seat. And I really wanted to sit next to you. I remember diving under the table and sort of popping my head up on the other side. Who designed the cards?
We did.
Yes.
So the drawings were done by me, and we then scanned them in to get high quality digital copies, and then you did sort of the colouring and the graphic design. What is your favourite Hazmat video?
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, we've got all these videos whereby essentially we've got this idea where someone has taken lockdown too far, and they're trying to live their entire life in a hazmat suit.
I quite like the one where I'm trying to eat the yoghurt, because the gag is that I'm trying to imitate people who, lick the lid and then eat the yoghurt, but because I'm wearing this hazmat suit, it just ends up with this big blob of yoghurt just slathered across the mask, and then I just start spooning it onto my face.
Thank you all for watching. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. Do check out The Big Lockdown on Kickstarter. There's a lot of fun to be had playing the game, and if you go over there now, you can get a copy of the game, you could even be included in the game, and you could even get some signed hazmat suits.
Clean ones.
Definitely clean ones. You do not want the ones we've been wearing.
I say cheerio.
You can say cheerio.
Cheerio.